make the most of the time and try to get through as much material as I possibly can before the summer comes to an end. I'd like to finish this hopefully, or a big chunk of it over the summer. Okay, so we are we're starting actually the 11th chapter of Mishlei. We have spent time going through different parshiot leading up to this particular one over here, where Shlomo Melech has told us a lot about, his vision for greatness, his vision for spiritual success, for financial success, for marital success. King Solomon only wants one thing for you. He wants you to achieve happiness. He wants you to achieve greatness. He wants you to have this deep connection to God and His Spirit. So he starts in the 11th chapter with this interesting idea called me'ozne mirma, right? The deceitful scales. So he says, me'ozne mirma toavat Hashem. Deceitful scales are a toeva, it's an abomination before God. Ve'evet shlema ritzono, but a perfect weight is his will, right? Then he continues, says, Baza don ve'avo kolon, ve'et snuim chokhmah. But when the willful wickedness comes, then comes disgrace, but with the modest is wisdom. Okay? And he continues, we'll come back, we'll double click on this, let's just get some traction over here. Tumat yisharim tenachem, v'selef bogdim, v'sadam yisdem. The innocence of the upright leads them, but the distortion of the treacherous robs them. Okay, let me just allow, oh, I missed her. Okay, fine. So, and then you have one more, let's do one more. Let's do one more over here. Where is it? Lo yo'il hon bayom evra utzaka tatzil mimavet. Riches will not be available on the day of wrath, but charity will save from death. Let's just do the next two. Tzedkat tamim tiyashar darko, uvrishato yipol rasha. The righteousness of the innocent will straighten his way, but the wicked will fall in his wickedness. Tzedkat yisharim tatzilem, uhavat bogdim yilkedu. But the righteousness of the upright will save them, but in the destruction, the treacherous will be caught. Okay, so we have these parallels over here. So let's go back. Let's try to see if we can get some insight into some of the stuff that we just read over here. So number one is that King Solomon tells us about this idea of deceitful scales. They're an abomination before God. Now, the reason why deceitful scales are an abomination is because the person who is being cheated doesn't even know he's being cheated, doesn't even know that he has to go back and ask for the money back. It's like the worst kind of possible scam, right? The Vilna Gaon applies this pasuk to this verse to spiritual matters as well, right? He says that when a person rules leniently on oneself, right, for spiritual matters, right, he chooses to be more lenient, right, he's robbing himself in a way that he can't pay himself back. Let me explain. So we're in the 3 weeks, and this period is called the Ben Amitzarim. And during this time, you'll find there's a whole slew of different halachot. And I'm not one to take any chumrot. My general opinion is that do whatever you can do. Practice the most simple you could possibly practice. We got enough going on. I don't want to add things on. However, if you feel that you need to take on a stringency upon yourself because you want to be more deeply connected, I'm okay with that. I'm not okay with us being a spectator when it comes to our Judaism. I'm not okay with us just being passively practicing. Oh, I'm doing what I got to do because I'm getting by. That's a problem. Those are false scales. Sometimes we got to push ourselves. Sometimes we need more motivation. And therefore, the Vilna Gaon is telling us over here that, you know what? Yeah, you could lie to yourself spiritually also. And I don't even know how you pay yourself back over there. It's just like the deceitful scales. You have to be someone who is honest with yourself. And this is why it's so important to have a mentor, rabbi, I don't care what you want to call him, someone who knows you, someone who understands you, your family, what we call your matzav, the situation, who could guide you, Because if you just go to random people who don't know you, you go to, you don't have that relationship, you're never really going to find yourself putting yourself into a position where you could really grow. Because you're just going to go laissez-faire, whatever happens, happens, it's all good, you know? But that's what this pasuk is talking about over here. You want to get perfect weights. You know what perfect weights are? Perfect weights is a perfect amount of counter resistance that you need to grow. That's what perfect weights are. Deceitful weights are the deceitful weights that you think you're growing. Oh man, such a good shiur today. You know, I went to the shiur, but you did nothing. You took no notes. You know, you're coming, you're not really growing. And that's a problem. Like you want to be real about your development. You want to be real about your growth. Then find yourself perfect weights. That's what God desires. He desires that we put ourselves into situations where we know that we're growing. So, okay, I get this question all the time. Rabbi, how do I know what's a deceitful weight and how do I know what's a perfect weight? Okay, ready? If whatever you're doing is easy, it's a problem. Okay, if you're if what you're doing, okay, now there are circumstances where easy is good, you know, because sometimes easy is better than nothing, and I get that. It's better to go to the gym and do nothing than not go to the gym at all. Okay, so I'm a very big believer. Not only that, I'll say more than that. If you can't even get to the gym, better to get into your gym clothes and sit in your home with your gym clothes on than not going to the gym. Right? Better to do something, some type of action than to do no action. So I'd much rather you find that perfect amount of weight wherever you're at, but it can't be too easy. It's got to have some kind of resistance training to help you become something bigger and better. And that's what a perfect weight is. A perfect weight means that there's some sort of a challenge. So if you're on this call today, I would imagine that this is a challenge for sure, because you have 1,000 reasons not to be on this call today. You have 1,000 reasons not to be watching this Instagram post. You have 1,000 reasons not to be on Facebook right now doing anything else but this. But you're here, so there's some kind of resistance over here, okay? But just be mindful that there is this idea of lying to yourself and thinking that you're growing when in reality you're not. And God doesn't want that for us. And then Pasuk continues, right? And he says, Ba zadon v'yavo kalon. When a willful sinner comes, shame comes. Right? Midrash tells us that when a generation possesses false weights, it's going to ultimately be afflicted by a harsh government. When we live in a world that is rampant with lying and cheating and stealing, you have all kinds of hardship that are going to come. Okay? That's nu'im chokhmah, but the modest ones comes wisdom. A modest person is going to accept the teachings of the chachamim, of the sages, and therefore he's going to gain wisdom. A willful sinner, however, right? Yeah, he's publicly disputes God's word. He's very haughty. He mocks wisdom and the sages. Yeah, he's not going to go very far. A zadon, right? A zadon studies to be a someone who is always fighting, right? He's not looking for truth, right? He's someone who is not going to achieve wisdom. But it's Nu'im, the modest one, who sits silent, who listens, who's humble, right? They are the ones like Yoshua, who sits there diligently day, night, fixing the Beit Midrash, setting it up, the guy who's always in the synagogue first, quiet guy, you know what I'm talking about? We all know who he is, right? That guy, yeah, that guy's great, right? He's not voicing his opinion. He's not making a ruckus. He's just there to absorb and grow. Tumat Yisharim Tenachem, the innocence of the upright will guide them. The perfect innocence of the upright will lead them on the proper path. It's all about just having good midot. Rabbeinu Yonah compares the similar term to tum. He says innocence, right? Tom. And yoshar, uprightness, which are usually joined together. The word tom implies perfection, like tamim. Okay, in an animal, it means that there is no physical blemish, like and in a human being, it talks about a refinement in character. But a yashar, an upright person, is a person that loves justice. He chooses what is correct, which, you know, this is someone who understands what is upright, someone who understands the right amount of tension to grow. And this pasuk explains the perfection of character, the character that guides them to act properly and protects them from stumbling. Solef bogdim yeshtem, but the corruption of the faithless will destroy them. Okay, so Here you have this idea that if the trader's crookedness is going to rob them of their lives. Because you're so corrupt and broken, you're not going to find truth. V'lo ya'il hon bayom evra. Wealth, success, all that money is not going to be available on the day of your challenge, your day of wrath. In peacetime, like right now, money is very helpful, very, very valuable. But in times of war, in times of all kinds of challenge, how far is your money going to take you? Right? How much is your wealth going to have? How much did money help people during World War II? Yeah, some people got out early, but most people in Europe, their money was useless. Inflation happened, properties were seized, art was taken away. All that money, it's not available when bad happens. You think you're protected, but you're not. When God brings pestilence, he brings war, wealth doesn't help. Coronavirus didn't matter how much money you had. You were just in the same boat as everybody else. Now, if God forbid, is angry at a person, his wealth is not going to redeem him, right? His enemies are going to be jealous of his wealth and they're going to take it away from him. There's actually a famous story with the Chavetz Chaim. It was a famous banker in Poland who says to the Chavetz Chaim, I'm so rich, I'm so diversified, my money is so spread out that no matter what happens, there is no scenario where God could take away my money. So the Chavetz Chaim says to this guy, he says, you fool. He says, maybe God can't take away your money, but he could take away you from your money. Maybe he may not take the money away from you, but he may take you away from money, which means you may die. That's another way of taking you away from your money. There's always a way to remove someone from something. Nothing is permanent. Nothing is 100% safe. There's always going to be risk in everything that we do. But we say, Utzedakah tatzil mimavet. But charity, tatzil mimavet, it rescues a person from death. When you do tzedakah, that saves a person. That's the real money you have, right? As a boy who gets $10 and his dad says, you got to give 10% of the money to charity. So he says, $10, 10%, okay, I'll give $1 to charity. So his dad says, how much money do you have? He says, wait a minute, I have $9. He's like, no, he's like, you have one. The things that we give away are ours forever. The things that we have in our pocket, that comes and goes. The things that we give, that's ours. Okay? It's the things that count the most when we're going through hardship. Tzedakah tatzil mimavet. That's exactly what it means. Not just the money is going to save you. It's because you gave that money away. You already have all that equity. You have all that credit, so to speak, with God. Tzedkat tamim tiyashar darko ubrishato yipol resha. The righteousness of an innocent one straightens his path, but the wicked is going to fall in his wickedness. He's going to fall victim to the very same evil that he plotted in bringing upon his fellow man. We see this with Haman. We see this so many times. The people that try to do evil against the Jewish people, that they fall into their own web that they've spun. But a person whose faith in God is perfect and innocent, he's going to feel that wherever God leads him is a straight path. No matter what happens, where he goes, he's going to, whatever difficulties, whatever obstacles, whatever he sees, he understands that ultimately it's for the good and nothing is going to trouble him. He's going to say straight, Tzidkat Yesharim Tatzilem, the righteousness of the upright is going to rescue them from distress, right? God's going to provide for them and any kind of such circumstance, because that's the world that they live in. B'havat bogdim yel kedu. But the faithless are going to be trapped in the destruction that they perpetuate. Traitors will be caught in the destructiveness that they are spreading. That's Rashi. Or they're going to become trapped by the destructiveness that they had planned for others. Evil is always met with evil. It's not true. It just looks like the bad guys win, but in the end, they always lose. Always lose. B'mot Adam Rasha. Okay, so I think this is what we're up to right now. Pasuk. We're in chapter 11, and we're in verse 7, and it says as follows. Shlomo Melech says, "B'mot Adam Rasha tovad tikva, v'tochelet onim avda." When a wicked man dies, hope, tikva, is lost, and the expectation of his children is lost. What does that mean that the hope is lost? The hope of all the people that trust him, no one trusts him anymore. What does it mean that the expectation of his children are lost? Onim, the expectation of his children, who are the products of his strength, is lost for no good will come to them in his merit. My friends, fathers, mothers, everyone listening, your actions impacts the next generation. Do good and you'll spread good. God forbid you do bad, do teshuvah and you'll fix everything. But know that what we do impacts reality. Just like a mother who unfortunately is on crack. It's not fair that the kid has to become a crack addict, but the parents impact a child's reality through our actions. So make sure you choose wisely. Let's keep going. Tzaddik mitzra nechlatz v'yavo resha tachtav. A righteous man is pulled out of trouble. V'yavo rasha tachtav, and a wicked man comes in his stead. When the wicked man dies, and this person is this is actually a very cool pasuk. So let's try to understand this. We see a world where our actions impact the reality that we live in. We see a world where, which often seems like it's unfair, but know that the righteous one is always going to be removed from all kinds of affliction, but the wicked one comes in his place. If there is some kind of misfortune that is going to be decreed upon the righteous person, right? But due to his good deeds, he is spared. That decree instead is visited upon the wicked person instead. That's what this pasuk is saying, right? This is again the idea of Mordechai being saved from Haman's gallows. Haman is ultimately put on the gallows instead. Same idea. So here you have this idea that there is this concept that when a decree is issued, it has to be filled. The justice has to be served some way or another. But if you're a person who is steeped in good deeds, I had a rabbi who told me, when you go back, I was in Israel, he says, when you go back to America, make sure you're involved in doing as much chesed as you can. I said, why? He says like this, he said, the more people that rely on your chesed, the less the evil decrees can hit you, because God has to take into account how all these people rely on you for good, and therefore you could be saved not only in your merit, but the merit of other people, my friends. We know that Rabbi Eliezer's students asked him, Rebbe, what can we do to protect ourselves from the birth pains of Mashiach? He says two things. He says, Talmud Torah and Gemilat Chasadim. Learning, because learning leads to action. And number two is kind deeds. Those things, that's real equity. That's real credit. You want to find a store of value, invest your time in doing good for other people. That, my friends, is eternal. You want to go ahead and find a currency that's going to protect your money? You could. People argue that Bitcoin is that. I'll tell you what the real currency is. The real currency is acts of kindness, my friends. That's forever. That's eternal. V'tu tzadikim tolatz kirya ba'oved rashaim rina. When it goes well with the tzaddik, with the righteous, the city rejoices. And when the wicked perish, there is song. Think about that for a moment. Choose your reality. When you're a good person, people remember you forever. When you're a bad person, people sing, oh, thank God that guy is gone. Ding dong, the wicked witch is dead, right? She's gone. We don't want to be around negative people. We don't want to be around the bad guys. We hate the bad guys. Birkat yesharim tarum keret, ubefir shaim ta'ares. With the blessing of the upright, the ceiling is raised, but with the mouth of the wicked, it is demolished, right? We're talking about the ceiling of the temple, right? It is the blessing of the upright that keeps the Beit HaMikdash alive. It's a very deep idea. This is based on Reb Chaim of Volozhin. He says that the Beit HaMikdash wasn't destroyed because of Titus. We're going to be reading about this in a couple of weeks on Tisha B'Av, but know that it wasn't Titus that destroyed the temple. It was our actions that destroyed the temple. When we behave positively, we reinforce, spiritually speaking, everything that happens on planet Earth. We create the spiritual barrier necessary to keep things going. When we do bad, God forbid, we're the ones that cause the destruction. He says that when Titus came to destroy the walls of the temple, he said all he was doing was grounding ground flour. It was already destroyed before he got there because of our actions. And this is the pasuk that proves that. He says over here that Birkat Yisharim Tarum Keret Ubefir Hashem Taros. The mouth of the wicked it demolishes that. Ubaz Lareu Chasar Lev Ish Tvunat Yachrish. He who despises his neighbor is devoid of all sense. Chaser Lev. But a man who is understanding is silent. Keep your mouth shut. Don't allow yourself to be ruled by your emotion. The smart person knows that sometimes it's just not worth getting that word in. Silence. And there's nothing like shtika. There's no greater, tranquilizer, peacekeeping device than a silencer on your mouth. Okay, it'll go so far. In therapy, interestingly, when you're learning to become a therapist, the way in which you start a session is you talk, you let the other person speak, and then you don't say a word until they give you permission to speak. This way, they're actually interested in hearing what you have to say. But it's so hard for the therapist in the beginning, a newbie, to figure out how to shut their mouths, because silence is where you find truth. It's where you find wisdom. Okay. I think we'll end over here. But the mouth of the wicked will be much. Do one more. Ubaz l'reu chasar lev ish tunot yachrish. But he who despises his neighbor will devoid of all sense, and a man understanding silent. Holech rachil megales sod v'ne'eman ruach mechased davar. He who reveals secrets is a rachil, a talebearer. But one who is faithful, right, conceals a matter. What does that mean over there? Right? I think this is what we're going to pick up next week. This is the deep idea. So God willing, next week, same time, same place, we're going to pick up chapter 11, verse number 13. Wishing you all a great day. Please find the right weights. Don't be afraid of pushing yourselves. It's only going to make you into a bigger, stronger person. Lots of love. Enjoy the rest of your day. Mwah. Love you all.
Thanks, Rabbi.
My pleasure. Always a pleasure.